What's up, everybody? I'm Cam Crusher, and now that we know that Zero Build is coming back for the Fortnite OG season, what the heck is that gonna look like? I mean, this doesn't look fun for Zero Build, am I right? And some pros are even thinking about skipping next season.
I don't know if I'm gonna play the game.
So I'm here to talk you all down from the ledges and tell you everything's gonna be okay. Zero Build is gonna be better than we realize, but it is gonna be different, especially during the Season 5 part. Let's get into it.
Nothing to see here!
There are a bunch of big changes that will make Zero Build gameplay different. We are going to have 6 seasons, 5 through Season X, every 5 or 6 days. That's going to swap the map and the loophole, so there's that. That's the first one. Next up, the Storm. That's going to be different. If you played before Chapter 4 Season 2, it's not going to be as big of a deal. But here's the chart so you can get up to speed. That first circle will be a lot smaller. Those ticks are going to increase a lot sooner. You're going to be on a 2-tick, I think, the 4th Storm there. Don't forget that the moving zones start earlier too. So like in the past, dropping edge of map will be riskier. And of course, there is the map. Not exactly designed for Zero, that's for sure. And those mountains, the good news, Epic is adding zip lines and ascenders to get up there, so that solves that problem. The other one is lack of cover, of course. I mean, obviously it's a wide open map. Portaforts, too, were only in a loophole for Season 5, so Epic's going to need to keep them in for the entirety of Fortnite OG, I think. Or drop a lot more cover on the map. Even though I didn't play back then, I don't think this is the way to go. I think the map needs to stay as is if we're going to go back and play on it. And if they are willing to add ways to get up those hills and mountains, I feel pretty confident Epic will give us more cover items, too. The mobility, of course, is going to be a big issue. As Chapter 1 went along, more and more mobility options were added, but they weren't always together. For example, when ballers were added, all other vehicles were vaulted. There's also other items that we don't think of as mobility that can be used as mobility. I saw people using chillers, so that's an example right there. But no matter how good it was in Chapter 1, it can't touch what we have right now. I mean, look at all these items. Players are running 2 mobility items in their inventory now. We're zooming around the map like the Flash or Superman or Spider-Man. And I remember the mobility complaints in Chapter 2. We had vehicles for most of it. We had the choppers in 2. I don't remember if they were in 3 or not. And then the Flood season. And then they were in the Superhero season. And I think they took them out after that. And then we had vehicles from the Flood season all the way to the end. And I remember the mobility complaints in Chapter 2 despite having vehicles for most of it. Losing the sprinting and the sliding mechanics won't help there either. I know people online wax nostalgic about all that mobility back in the day, but think about it. If we're running at Chapter 1 speed with a faster and more damaging storm, and without cover on a wide open map, that gameplay is going to feel slow, even if it's not. Hopefully it won't be as slow as what it could be, but you never know. Nonetheless, that's going to be the biggest downside of playing Zero Build on the Chapter 1 map. And without all that mobility, the current Zero Build strat of breaking the shield and pushing is pretty much out the window. I expect gameplay to resemble how it was in early Season 5, with forts replacing builds and everyone kind of just, making their little stand 50 to 100, 150 meters away, or they're holding zone, whatnot. But as more mobility is added through these seasons, every 5 or 6 days, we could see the break and push strat work its way back into the meta. But like I said, Epic could fix all those issues too. They could add rifts like they did in Season 5, so there are solutions there with the mobility. Weapons, however, are another story. Chapter 1 weapons had a lot more bloom, but did not do as much damage. But players also only had 200 health back then, so it was fine. Kind of like a balance a little bit. Some have said that Epic won't go back to those guns, but we can't have Chapter 3 and 4 guns either. What's the point of returning to the past if we're not going to use those loopholes? I think we're going to have the old stuff. So tap firing is going to become more important. Carrying a hunter rifle or another sniper in your inventory could be the meta to take care of a lot of those long-range fights. But there also were a lot of fun items in the pool back then too. You had Storm Flip, which looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be Meme City. You got boogie bombs, bushes, jetpacks, guided missiles, old school nades with their old school damage. And I played back in Chapter 2 with almost all of these items and weapons, so it's not going to be that bad, trust me. A little aim practice will go a long way to adjusting to the old stuff, just saying. And I'll put an aim training map code in the descriptions for you. And one final note, dying might be worse than you thought. Reboot vans were not in the game until Season 8.
No.
So I'm not sure if Epic will plop them into all the maps next season, if we'll have it during the entire OG or just part of it, not sure. My guess is they will, or maybe they leave it out and let us suffer for the first couple weeks, So yeah, it's probably going to be a slower version of Zero Build for at least the first few weeks. Rotates to the left side of the map are going to be no bueno with all that high ground unless you get there first. You'll need cover in your inventory at all times, probably mobility too if we have enough of it. Fights are going to take longer to finish and be more long range. But the good news is that lower speed also means things are going to be less chaotic. You know, sometimes zero build does get crazy, right? You know, a little slowdown in the pace is probably needed for a lot of players. You know, let's be real here. I find I always do better when I slow the fight down, so, you know, it makes sense. So there we go, peeps. I'm Cam Crusher. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like. Next video coming right up.